Hello, my name's David and I'm going to talk to you today about part 4 of the Tactless Speaking Exam for B2. I want to give you some advice and tips on how to perform well on the day and also explain to you how part 4 works. Part 4 takes 3 to 4 minutes, okay, and we call it topic development, okay? Why? Because in this part of the test, you have time to talk more about the topic you've been speaking about in part 3. Okay, there's more detail in the questions and it gives you a chance to extend the conversation. For example, okay, in a previous video for part 3, it was about a healthy lifestyle. So the examiner might ask you questions like, some people are not worried about having a healthy life. How important do you think it is? Do you think sleeping more could improve your quality of life? Why? Why not? Okay, and the examiner will ask you the question, or maybe they'll ask you both the question, the question together, and will ask you to talk together about it. You're tested on your ability here to give opinions, to give reasons for your opinions, and your ability to politely discuss things with your partner. So here, there's more interaction again, okay? And you'll be, okay, it's quite similar to part 1, okay? But it's more like a three-way conversation between the two candidates and the examiner. And the questions are a little more complex and they're a bit more about opinions, okay? Look at the examiner when you speak, but also look at your partner and listen carefully. One bit of advice as well, both for parts 4 and part 3, is your body language. When you're supposed to interact, turn and look at your partner. You're more likely to interact. Don't always be looking at the examiner in the interaction parts in part 3 and part 4. Listen very carefully to what your partner says and to the question. Here, you are responding often to what the partner says. Very often the examiner will ask a question to one of the candidates and nearly always will say to the other, and what do you think? Do you agree? So if you haven't listened to what they've said, how can you respond? So listen very carefully to what and here it's nice again to refer back to what the other candidate says, okay, as my partner said, okay, and then continue with your opinion. So interaction again is important. Some students produce some of their best language in part 4 and what we call saving the exam. Now, imagine you have a problem with part 1 for whatever reason, okay? And the examiner is wondering, remember, in the Tactless B2 speaking, it's not about passing and failing each part. It's about giving the overall impression throughout the exam that you have a B2 level. So if you do a good part 4, and you're able to explain your answers and give opinions, they say, oh yeah, well, they really do have a good B2 level, and you can, what we call, save the exam, okay? You need to do reasonably well throughout the exam, of course, but you can have parts which didn't go as well as others, okay? But here's a chance for you to really talk, okay? Because the questions are a bit more complex, so you can show them more language. So, don't worry too much, again, about making mistakes. Relax, answer the questions, communicate. Show them that you're a B2, okay? Communicate both with the examiner and with your partner. That's what it's all about. That's how you get good marks in the Tactless B2 speaking. Don't be afraid to ask for clarification if you're not sure of what the examiner's asked you in any part of the exam, okay? Or even clarification from your partner. If you make a mistake and realize, as I've mentioned before, don't be afraid to correct yourself. But don't correct the other candidate. That's not polite. It's not how you should do it in an exam. You can correct yourself, but don't correct the other candidate if they make a mistake, of course, okay? Talk to the other candidate when it's an interaction part, and not the examiner. Talk to the examiner when you need to in parts 1 and 2, okay? But it's very important that you have a good rapport and there's a conversation between you and the other candidate. Do not try to dominate. This is similar to part 3. Okay, the way you conduct yourself and politeness is assessed. The way you interact and know how to take turns and give the other candidate a chance. This is also part of the assessment. And as I've mentioned in other parts, for other parts of the examiner is following a script. So don't worry if you're interrupted. That's because they have to give the same time and use the same words to explain the questions to all candidates. Okay, well, thank you very much. So that was my explanation of part 4 of the Tactless B2 speaking. Goodbye.